Let's Science is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
3, 2, 1.
We live in a universe of scientific wonders.
Every day, scientists are inching towards breakthroughs which can change our lives.
We're playing our small part in sharing these wonders with you.
That's why today is a fine day for science.
So let's science.
All right, Lino, I've got a quick one today, but a fun one. All right, so when Caroline can't do science, as always, you and I will find a topic that's a bit out there or some. Or
I'm very interested why a lot of people haven't asked us to do Roman Concrete 2.0. Really understood why they haven't asked us to do that yet.
It's the first time we did it was so good that there's no sequel. Once you do something perfectly, like Roman Concrete, you just can't follow that up. You just can't. There's no sequel.
Yeah, on the topic of sequels, there have been good sequels out there, but yeah, you're right. 90% of the time, the sequels aren't the good ones as the original. I understand.
Yeah, because it was so good. Just go back to the original Roman Concrete science episode and listen to that. That's the best way. Yeah. But today's topic is about the wet dog shake. Okay. Now, it's not a type of... It's not,
I was about to say, it's not a shake as in handshakes with all this new gen people do, you know. Oh, we
wet dog shake, yeah. It's not a type of handshake.
Not that kind of shake, okay? Just before everyone thinks, because it's a wet dog. No,
it's not a type of drink either, because that sounds, all right, yeah. And it's not a dance move, although someone could make this a dance move, but I don't know, you might shatter a few bones in your body, so you got to be careful with that.
I can see TikTok just exploding.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. The wet dog shake trend. Yeah, we just started it. That was this podcast, all right? We started it, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you owe us listens. Anyway, so subscribe and
yeah.
So what it is about, though, is about how when animals get wet, like our dogs, and they shake. Like rapidly shake to get the water off. I was actually curious about this. Do cats do the shake at all? Have you ever, or not?
That's a good question.
Because you've got two cats. When they're wet, do they ever do a shake or?
No, it's not more of a shake. It's the other way around. It's more of a lick.
A lick. Oh, yeah, that's like lick. Yeah.
I don't want to get
Cats seem quite docile. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I don't know if cats do the shake. However, there are other animals. We'll start with our dogs. We'll start with dogs and we'll talk about that later. And I've observed this. My dog, Luna, after a bath, you've got to throw a towel on her really quickly or that water's going everywhere. She will shake and it'll go all over you, all over the bathroom, everywhere. Also, when you might pat a dog in the wrong direction or they're feeling like there's a bit of an itch, they'll also shake as well. Not even when they're wet, but they'll also do the shake.
Really?
Yeah, they shake their whole body.
Cool.
They get the hair.
I never seen that.
Yeah, so that happens. So I've got a couple of articles here. I'm just going to summarize from different pieces of it. But it says, the topic is what drives the wet dog shakes reflex in furry animals. So it says from the largest tigers to the tiniest mice, most furry creatures share the common problem of how to dry off without a bath towel. Many have developed a similar strategy, a vigorous full-body shaking motion that researchers have dubbed wet dog shakes. While somewhat silly-looking, this behavior may be important for survival because it helps animals to dry off quickly so that they can conserve body heat and precious calories. So that's why they do it, but how does it work?
Calories?
Yeah. So they're
really?
saving, because they need to preserve, the calories in their body. They also need to preserve heat as well. And they can't just pick up a towel and dry themselves off.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So that's why they do it. But the other research was how does it happen? What's the mechanism in their body that enables them to do that? It talks about how when they shake off water off their fur, like dogs and other animals, it's not a random flurry of movements. So it's not just a random action. And it's not a deliberate effort to drench everyone who's standing nearby. I like that. Yeah, but this reflex, it's instinctive and it's shared by mice, apparently cats. That's why I was asking you, right? So cats do it, squirrels, lions, tigers and bears, oh my. The move helps animals to remove water, but also insects and other irritants from hard to reach places.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the underlying shake is complex and it was previously mysterious neurological mechanism, but not anymore because researchers have identified identified the neural circuit that triggers characteristic wet dog shaking behavior in mice, which involves a specific class of touch receptors and neurons that connect the spinal cord to the brain. The findings of this were published on the 7th of November, and there are links to these in our show notes. So the touch system is so complex and rich that it can distinguish a water droplet from a crawling insect from the gentle touch of a loved one. And this is from Cara Marshall, who's a neuroscientist at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas. So this is the interesting thing. The receptors in the body of these furry animals can tell the difference. Is it a drop of water? Is it an insect? Or is it a gentle touch of someone who loves you?
Wow. Yeah, they can say that. Cool.
Yeah, and it will respond appropriately. So she says it's really remarkable to be able to link a very specific subset of touch receptors to this familiar and understandable behavior. It talks about sensitive skin. The hairy skin of mammals is packed with more than 12 types of sensory neuron, each with a different function to detect and interpret various sensations. So the study focused on a type of ultrasensitive touch detecting receptor called C-fiber low threshold mechanoreceptors, or for the sake of keeping it short, CLTMRs, which wrap around hair follicles. In humans, these receptors are associated with pleasant touch sensations, such as a soft hug or a soothing stroke.
Yeah.
But in mice,
this is correct. Yeah.
But in other mice and animals, they serve as a protective role, alerting them to the presence of something on their skin. So it could be water, dirt, or even a parasite. So when these stimuli cause hairs on the skin to bend, it activates the CLTMRs, extending the sensibility of the skin beyond just the surface. The skin is sensitive, or on the hairs, the skin will respond based on what the receptors are saying is on their skin or in their hairs. And then the shake starts. So to get the lab mice to shake like wet dogs, the researchers applied drops of sunflower oil to the backs of mice's necks.
Sunflower oil. Yeah,
Sunflower.
Makes sense.
So nearly all the animals shook off these drops within 10 seconds. So they managed to trigger those receptors with sunflower oil. So then the team genetically modified some of the mice to remove most of their CLTMRs. These animals showed a 50% reduction in shakes when droplets landed on their neck compared with the unmodified mice. So the researchers also wanted to explore how signals from CLTMRs travel through the nervous system to orchestrate the wet dog shakes. They traced the pathway to a group of neurons in the spinal cord. This connects to an area of the brain called the parabrachial nucleus, I hope I said that, which is involved in processing pain, temperature, and touch. So using optogenetics, a technique that engineers neurons so that they can be switched on and off in response to light, the researchers blocked the activity of the spinal neurons. These mice showed a 58% reduction in shakes compared with control mice. So blocking activity in the parabrachial nucleus provided similar results. The mice still scratched, groomed, and moved normally, suggesting that the neural circuit is specific to wet dog shakes. So they're able to isolate this particular neural circuit, which is in the spinal cord and connects to the brain. So what's the point? Why would they do this research? So what's going on here? So it says that the discovery opens up avenues for future research. The wet dog shake is a very coordinated motor response, says Thomas Knopfel, a neuroscientist at Hong Kong Baptist University in Kowloon Tong, who adds that the study is a good starting point to study how the brain sends commands to control the movement. He says, wet dog shake is triggered in many animals by psychedelic drugs, he said. The response to psychedelics involves serotonin receptions, which also play a part in pleasurable touch. That gives inspiration for some more work on connecting the dots. And he says that future research could also investigate whether overactive CLTMRs contribute to conditions such as twitch skin syndrome in cats, which involves suddenly rippling of the skin and excessive twitching, or to other kinds of skin hypersensitivity in humans. So it's ongoing research, but now having isolated those neurons and that whole circuit, they can now do more research on other hypersensitive skin conditions in animals and then possibly in humans, and maybe come up with a way to counteract skin conditions that overactive, oversensitive conditions. Yeah. So interesting research.
Cool. Nice.
What we've got to say to people is when your dog shakes after a bath, don't get upset, because I know that my wife, she doesn't get upset, but she's quick, put the towel on. No. And if it's not, if we're too late, we cop a spray from the dog. But the thing is,
Exactly.
it's their instinctive response. They'll do the shake when they're wet, when there's an irritant, when there might be a parasite or a bug or a dust or a piece of dust or whatever. The body will,
interesting.
yeah, those neuron circuits will identify, and then they'll respond, appropriately, which is to have a bit of a shake.
Yeah, definitely. It's like us, if we have something irritant on our skin, or we have, especially when it's raining, and you get the wet sensation going down your back, you get to feel it. It goes right down your spine.
Yes,
Feel it, that sort of thing. And like you said, finding out about this research and finding out the sensitivity of certain things happening on your body and all that, that totally makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
So all this research contributes to a greater body of knowledge. And I like how science will crisscross into different fields, and then they'll go, oh, that research there now helps us to complete a theory or some research we had in this area. It's a picture,
Exactly.
It's a picture, a piece of a puzzle, isn't it, that creates the whole understanding, which is great.
Understanding.
Yeah.
Totally, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, so now when our cats and dogs and mice or guinea pigs or whatever have a bit of a shake, now we know what's triggered it, at least, or what the response is to that trigger on their body.
Responses.
Yeah.
Let's Science is brought to you by StarQuest Media and is a fortnightly podcast that brings you the scientific wonders of our universe from a distinctly Catholic point of view. For more from Caroline, Lindsay, and friends, listen to the StarQuest show, Catholics of Oz. Find links from today's show at sqpn.com/science. And find the Catholics of Oz at sqpn.com/Oz. Be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you can find podcasts, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. The generous donations of our patrons at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Let's Science and all the shows at StarQuest, which makes our nonprofit mission possible. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Join us next time for more scientific wonders, and thank you for listening to Let's Science on StarQuest. Here's another podcast on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy: The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found, or at sqpn.com/secrets.